So I know my channel's been veering off into many, many, many weird paths and different directions. I started my channel talking about antiques, and then it morphed into many different things, showing products from Amazon and talking about plants, metal detecting. And you must think I have a very, very rich life. But the truth is, I really don't. And so, for those of you who really don't know me, I'm going to introduce you to me. And what is wrong with me? Well, I sort of know, but I don't know how to fix it. So it is now, oh my God, I'm banging my head into the microphone. Don't mind me. This is what lack of sleep will do for you. Okay, it's 6 a.m. I have not gone to bed. I only slept 2 hours the day before. Why? Well, because I have anxiety disorder. And for those of you who don't know what the hell this is all about, there's many different kinds of anxiety disorders. There's OCD, or AKA obsessive compulsive disorder. There is that awkward anxiety disorder, which is I'm having a brain fart right now. Social anxiety. There's so many of them. There is GAD, and you're like, what the hell is GAD? It sounds like an awful disease. Well, it is. Generalized anxiety disorder, meaning that you feel anxiety all of the fucking time. Excuse my language. Cursing actually releases anxiety for me. So a lot of people that think I'm a lowlife or some kind of white trash sitting behind my microphone, spewing expletives, will not understand unless they have anxiety. And so there's many, many, many different kinds of anxiety. It can actually morph into panic disorder. And what in the hell is panic disorder? For those of you who don't know, well, I'll explain it to you. Okay, I was 5 years old when it first began, laying in bed, doing nothing but sleeping, or so I thought, until I jumped up out of my sleep, like startled. I was out cold, and I just woke up and I didn't know where I was. I felt actually, what's the word I'm looking for? Like I did not belong in my own body, or I wasn't even in my own body. And I noticed my nose is whistling right now. I'm so sorry. I notice every fucking thing. And that's another thing about anxiety. You notice every little thing. It's like you're hypersensitive more than the normal person. Why is my nose whistling? Oh my God, I'm not doing cocaine, I can assure you. Okay, so I woke up, startled out of my sleep, not knowing where the hell I was. So it was almost as if I was half asleep, half awake. And I looked around the room and I felt like running. And I didn't know why. My heart was racing a million miles a minute. I felt like I wasn't real. Like, you know that feeling? Pinch me, am I here? Type of feeling. And I felt like I wanted to climb out of my own skin. If I can only explain it in that way, that the way like you can peel a banana. Well, I wanted to be a banana and peel myself out of my own skin. And then my heart started racing and I got really hot. I felt like I was on fire. And my father was sleeping. My mother wasn't home. It was very late at night. Why wasn't my mother home? Because my mother was running. So there's different ways to deal with anxiety. There's flight. There's fright. No, I'm kidding. Well, yeah, fright. There's flight, fight, and freeze. And so my mother chose to flee. I chose to freeze. And well, not that I chose, but my body chose it for me. And that particular moment, my body went into flight mode, and I wanted to take off and couldn't understand why. And when I say take off, it's not taking off from work or something like that. I just wanted to run, and I didn't know where I wanted to run to. I wanted to run to safety, and my nose is still whistling. Jesus, I noticed these things. And yeah, so I did not want to wake my father up. My mother was not home because she was always running from her problems. And so she joined a late night bowling league. And I wanted my mother in the worst way. And oh my God, now I'm whistling again. And let me put my pop filter down. Okay, I'm very conscious about these things. Okay, you probably won't notice the whistling now. So I did not know what to do. What do you do? what do you do? What is happening to you? You don't know. When you get your first panic attack, you have no clue what the hell is happening. You feel like you're dying and losing your mind. You actually feel this gloom and doom feeling that I can't explain. You feel like as if the nuclear war button was just pushed and a news flash came across the news on the radio or on the TV that says you have 5 minutes to live until the nuclear bomb is going to hit America and turn you into vaporized flesh. And that's how you feel. And so I didn't want to wake my father up because he would actually get his belt and whip me because I woke him up from his sleep. And yeah, it was considered rude when you were a kid to wake up your parents from a deep sleep. So what did I do? I ran in and I woke up my father and I started screaming, "Daddy, Daddy, I'm dying. I can't breathe. I'm dying." And he said, "What the fuck is going on? Are you fucking crazy?" And yes, he did say that, and he never really cursed. So he was really angry because I woke him up. He fell asleep with the TV on, and I'll never forget the show that was on TV at the time was The Honeymooners. And The Honeymooners theme song was playing at that exact moment. And to this day, whenever I hear The Honeymooners theme song, I freak the fuck out because it brings me back to that first panic attack. Well, back then we didn't have cell phones in the late 70s, right? So my dad had to call the bowling alley and ask for my mother to be paged. And she came running home. And back then we had a thing called the Yellow Pages. And it had thousands and thousands and thousands of advertisements in it for everything under the sun. So my mom called the doctor. And back then doctors used to make house calls. They would actually come to your house 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just with one phone call. So the dude shows up with his little leather doctor's bag. The minute he walked in the door, I don't know what happened to me. He stuck the cold stethoscope to my chest and listened to my heart. I calmed down right away and felt like I was back in my own body again and like I was real. And I didn't feel like fleeing or running. I didn't feel like I was losing my mind anymore. And I certainly didn't feel like I was dying. So he said to my mother, "She has the flu. Give her plenty of chicken soup and fluids." And I was like, "Oh, that's what happened to me? I had the flu and it suddenly went away?" And yeah, I couldn't explain to them at 5 years old what was happening to me. So what the hell is a panic attack? Basically the worst thing in the world besides other terrible things like cancer or flesh-eating virus or yeah, it's just that bad, okay? So I did not tell my parents for years what was happening to me. So I did this in private. So I'd have panic attacks, not knowing what the hell they were, but I would do it in private because the one time I showed somebody I had a panic attack, I got punched in the face. So I was about 7 and I had a panic attack and my aunt was over the house babysitting me. I had a panic attack. I started running through the house screaming, "I'm dying, I'm dying. I can't breathe." And she grabbed me by the back of my shirt and slapped me as hard as she could and punched me in the face and told me I was a snot nose and a brat. So after that, that was the last time I ever had a panic attack in front of somebody, or at least I tried to hide it. So whenever I had one of these damn things, I would actually go to a quiet place and freak the fuck out on my own. So why do I make all these crazy convoluted videos all the time? I go from one topic to another. 1 minute I'm trying to make music. The next I'm talking about just normal everyday bullshit, rants and raves. I unbox shit. I talk about antiques because whenever I make a video, it actually removes my anxiety. It distracts me. So wondering how to make this shit go away, I found over the years, since the age of 5, now I'm 49, I realized there's really, and I'm not trying to discourage any of you out there, there's really not that much help for this. There's loads of therapists, and many different therapists will give you many different answers for what's the way to treat this. One will tell you cognitive behavioral therapy, which is, it changes the way you behave. So when you're about to have a panic attack, you have to do these self-talk things, like tell yourself, "I'm not dying. I don't have a terminal illness. I'm not going to stop breathing. I'm healthy. I'm fine. I'm just going through a panic attack. It's basically positive self talk. And it doesn't work for a lot of people because when your mind is in anxiety zone, like anxiety zone, uh, there's nothing that can calm you down except for, I'm not going to lie, a Xanax or a sedative like Xanax, or I don't know, I don't do weed or I don't drink, but most people that have anxiety do shit like that because you need to calm down. Now, some people will tell you, therapists, you need to be more mindful. Why don't you start yoga or doing meditation? No. Some people it works for. For me, no way. My mind cannot quiet down enough to actually sit there and do that shit. If I could, I would, but I can't, so I won't. Another method, they tell you to take a ice cold shower. Yes, an ice cold shower. The cold is supposed to snap you the fuck out of it. Nope, not doing that. What's another method? They do something called dialectical. That has never helped for me either. It's some kind of like behavioral modification. And then they try to pour shitloads of meds down your throat that don't work. Well, for me, it didn't. They try to give you loads of antidepressants. You'll get a lot of bad side effects. You'll feel numb inside. You'll feel dead, sort of like a zombie. So there's really no help out there for me. I noticed. I mean, for you, you might do wonderful with yoga or meditation or immersing your whole entire body in an ice bath. I don't know. But so that's what it's like to live with anxiety and panic attacks. Now, GAD is another bad one because GAD will have, or generalized anxiety disorder, you will have these thoughts that are terrible. They just don't stop. It's like a merry-go-round of bad thoughts that just go through your head nonstop. You'll be sitting there and you'll be like, what if? What if? What if? Like, what if I walk down the street and a car hits me and I get injured? What if I go in an elevator and the elevator stops working and I'm on the middle of the 90th floor and I'm trapped? Or what if I go into work today and my boss fires me? What if, what if, what if? What if this pain I feel in my heart right now is really not a gas bubble, but I'm having a heart attack? So basically, what if the queen had balls, she'd be king, goes on in your head all day long. And it's hard to make that merry-go-round of doom and gloom stop. So that's what it's like to have GAD. Social anxiety is another animal of a different color. It's basically you feel awkward as fuck around people and you feel nervous and you start to sweat and you feel like, hey, I'm in a crowd of people. I got to get the fuck out of here. Yeah, that's social anxiety. You just feel awkward all the fucking time. What's agoraphobia? Agoraphobia is another form of an anxiety disorder. It's when your anxiety gets so bad that it gets to the point where you have panic attacks everywhere you go, not just in your house. You could be on the train and suddenly you feel, oh my God, I'm having chest pains. Am I having a heart attack? I can't breathe. I feel really hot. There's crowds of people surrounding me. I have to get the fuck off this thing. And the train can't stop just because you want it to stop. So you have a panic attack. And then what happens is you avoid going on the train because you don't want that shit to happen again. So then you go on the bus the next time. You figure, I'll take 3 buses instead of 1 train. And you have a panic attack on the bus. And you feel like jumping out the fucking window. And then you're like, oh, I'll never go on a bus anymore. And it continues until the point you get is you don't leave your house because you just don't want to have a panic attack in front of a bunch of strangers where they're going to gawk at you and think you're some nutcase. And so, yeah, did I explain everything about anxiety? So I have a new phobia. By the way, phobias are another thing. A lot of people with anxiety have very, very bad health phobias. We're constantly thinking we have a terminal illness and are dying. I am not shitting you. I have a sore stomach all the time. For the past couple of years, my abdomen is always swollen and sore. So what do people do? You Google it, right? Don't ever Google it. Don't. because you Google my symptoms: stomach sore, hard to the touch, swollen, and what comes up? Cancer. And people with anxiety do not want to think about that. Okay. So you're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, I'm having a pain in my side. It feels like my appendix. Could it be my appendix? And you type it in on Google and it tells you appendicitis. And then it turns out you had a fart. 5 minutes later, you start to laugh a little. You're like, oh, thank God it wasn't appendicitis. I just had a fart. I had the gases. And yeah, so that's what it's like living with anxiety. And now my phobia is I'm afraid to go to sleep. Why am I afraid to go to sleep? Every time I go to sleep, I have panic attacks in my sleep now. So when I wake up, feeling like I'm gasping for air and I'm dying and I'm losing my mind and I don't even know where the fuck I am, that's why I avoid going to sleep. So this is why I'm making this video now at 6:15 a.m. and I haven't slept more than 2 hours in 2 days. And that's what it's like living with anxiety, why my channel is so insane, and it goes on many different paths and directions from one video of one topic to another, because it quiets my mind. It puts me back into reality. It grounds me where I'm distracted. I'm so distracted about talking about bullshit and stupid shit that most of you probably don't even give a shit about. Unboxing a fucking microphone. I don't think any of you care. Me unboxing gadgets I get from Amazon. Nobody really gives a fucking shit about it. But it actually is an exercise for me of distraction. And one of the methods to stop anxiety in its tracks is called distractory methods. So when you do something that distracts you, whether it be a hobby, doing something with your hands, working on something, it gets your mind off of it. So if you're wondering where my channel is going and what the hell is going on with all this crazy shit, this is why. I live with this every day of my life. I've lived with this since the age of 5, and I hope to God I never have to live with this for the rest of my life, because it is the most miserable feeling a human could ever feel, knowing that there's nothing out there that can really help you. Some of you may get help, but 50% of people with anxiety disorders get better, but the other 50% don't. And they have to live with this every day of their life and try to figure a way just to get through each day, one day at a time. All right, thanks for listening to me. Maybe you know a little bit more about me now. Maybe you'll understand people more with anxiety and anxiety disorders if you don't have this issue. Maybe you can reach out to somebody who's suffering and just be a friend and listen to them and understand they're not crazy. They just have a disorder that really there's no cure for. Thanks for watching. See you guys all soon, and so long.